And welcome back. Our US housing market is getting stranger and stranger, just like my facial hair that I had this week, which, by the way, if you guys watch my daily videos, that was a joke. I was just slowly shaving off my beard this week. In any case, I want to share the latest housing market trends we're seeing right now. According to Realtor.com, they just announced a new housing market update on Friday. If you guys follow my videos, as you guys all know, this is my favorite video I make for you guys because I use my own analysis of Realtor.com's data regarding new listings, housing inventory, the share of price reductions, and of course, much, much more. Here's the actual report from Realtor.com that was posted on July 27th, which is yesterday at the time of filming this video. But just like my previous videos, I did not even read it. Instead, go to realtor.com/research/data. Click on this link right here, and it takes you to this information. So let's go ahead and dive right in. And of course, if you guys aren't subscribed just yet, I invite you to do so. I post frequent housing market updates so you guys can make a more informed decision about whether to buy or sell a house. With that said, let's have a look at this. So for the week ended July 22nd, look at this, big change. Home prices, or I should say asking prices, are flat on a year-over-year basis. So the median asking price on a national level is flat compared to the same time frame in 2022, which is pretty astonishing because this is after 6 consecutive weeks of year-over-year decreases. In my personal opinion, this is likely to be positive very soon because home prices started falling greatly in June and July last year. What's wild about this is that asking prices were down for 6 consecutive weeks before this. So this is pretty astonishing that we might get into positive territory yet again because these 6 weeks right here are the only weeks in which asking prices decrease on a year-over-year basis for as far back as their data goes, which is July 2017. Okay, let's change gears slightly here and talk about housing inventory, the change from 1 year ago, because now for 5 consecutive weeks now, inventory is less than the same time frame in 2022. Now again, like I mentioned in previous videos, this is night and day difference compared to the start this year. Because at the start this year, we had gains in the range of 60 to around 70% from January through February this year. And now again, last week, it decreased by 8.1%. Also, as a note right here, this has been mostly on a downward trend ever since early February this year due to a lack of new listings. In other words, a lack of homeowners listing their houses for sale, which is causing housing supply to remain at historically low levels. And also due to the fact that inventory was skyrocketing at this time last year. In stark contrast, inventory levels this year is only slightly up year to date. I have a chart to share with you guys regarding inventory levels over the past several years, which is pretty astonishing because this year inventory has not increased like it should. We're not seeing a seasonal uptick in the number of houses for sale, especially this spring, which is obviously night and day difference compared to last year. In any case, this 8% decrease in inventory levels is on par with altosresearch.com as well, because they reported a decrease of 9% compared to 8% from Realtor.com. One thing you guys should be aware of though is we have roughly the same number of houses for sale right now compared to the start this year. Only a very small increase in fact. But it has been increasing very slowly ever since April this year. We have approximately 9% fewer houses for sale right now compared to late July 2022. But we have approximately 50 to 51% fewer houses for sale compared to the same week of 2019. We're missing approximately 500,000 houses for sale when comparing that to pre-pandemic levels. So here is a chart showing inventory levels right here. 479,000. 1 year ago, it was 525,000. But when we zoom in this year, which is right here, look at this. Looking at the 7-day average, for the week ended July 21st this year, we had 479,000 houses for sale nationwide, To start the year, we only had 471,000, so only a slight increase compared to the start of this year. Also at 479,000, when comparing that to years past, look at this. 479,000 is much higher compared to 2021, but it's below levels in 2020 and well below levels in 2019, when at that time there's around 960,000 homes for sale. And in early August 2018, there's around 955,000. Therefore, when comparing the number of houses for sale today compared to pre-pandemic levels, we're down approximately 50%. Obviously, one of the main factors why we have a lack of houses for sale right now is this right here. New listings fell by nearly 18% year over year last week. This also marks the 55th consecutive week of year-over-year decreases of new listings, which of course is causing inventory levels to remain at very low levels. Also has been decreasing by double digits for 49 out of the past 52 weeks. A big problem if you want to see home prices fall greatly here because we're not seeing enough new supply here in the market. Also, let's have a look at days in the market, because last week it took about 9 days longer to sell a house compared to the same time frame of 2022. Now, this is a new trend here because we've been seeing double-digit gains for quite some time here. The last time we had single-digit gains of less than 10 days was way back in mid-December last year. Also, coincidentally here, this gain of 9 days, meaning it's taking 9 days longer to sell a house, is half the gains we saw back in late April when it took 18 days longer to sell a house. But still overall, it's taking longer to sell a house for 51 consecutive weeks. Again though, a friendly reminder, this is based on closed home sales. Therefore, this column right here is a lagging indicator of our US housing market. Let's also discuss the percent change in the number of reduced price listings. This is a drastic change as well because last week it decreased by 30.8%. I mean, look at this. In late March this year, it was a gain of 105.4%. And we saw triple-digit increases going back to early January this year. But now we're down by 30.8%. This also marks a decrease year over year, now for 8 consecutive weeks. I have some theories regarding why we're seeing the percent change in the number of reduced price listings decrease here. So number one, we have low inventory levels of existing houses, and therefore we have fewer options of houses to buy from home buyers. And of course, this is reducing the number of price reductions that home sellers are doing right now. Number two, we have price reductions that were skyrocketing at this time last year. In contrast, the share of price reductions is flat year to date so far this year. Let me share with you guys exactly what I mean by this, because the share of price drops for the week ended January 6th this year was 36%. Now fast forward to July 21st, it's only 34%. So roughly on par with the beginning of this year regarding the share price drops, which is obviously much different compared to 2022, when at this time last year it was 35%. But to start the year last year, they were at just under 23%. So the share of price reductions were skyrocketing last year, whereas this year it has been increasing ever since May this year, but not the same rate we saw in 2022. Also, something that I found to be intriguing as well is that at 34% right now, even though it's on par with last year's levels, it's still higher than 2021 at 22%, and also in 2020 at 25%. But it's also roughly on par with pre-pandemic levels at 35% in 2019 and at about 35% in 2018 as well. All right, just like my other videos I make for you guys, I want to share a summary as well as some predictions as well. So number one, asking prices were flat year over year last week. This is likely to be in positive territory very, very soon because home prices were falling dramatically starting in June and July last year. Whereas this year, we're not seeing a sharp pullback in prices, at least not just yet. Number 2, housing inventory decreased by 8% year over year last week. This marks the 5th consecutive week in which inventory levels decrease, going back to May of 2022. Also, we did not see a seasonal uptick in the number of houses for sale this spring. Sellers are holding on to their very low rates. So a lot of people have rates of less than 4 and 3%, and today's rates are around 7%. Also, new listings have been decreasing by double digits for 49 out of the past 52 weeks. I mean, that is absolutely insane. We basically have nearly 1 year in which new listings are decreasing by more than 10% or more than 9.99%. Just absolutely crazy. This continued lack of new listings hitting the market is causing inventory to remain at historically low levels, down by about 50% from 2019. Number 3, the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage rate for people with great credit is around 7% as of today, which is July 28th, according to the Mortgage News Daily. 1 year ago, the average rate was at 5.2%. Number 4, the share of price drops is roughly the same as last year and during the same week of 2018 and 2019. It's still much higher compared to 2020 and 2021 though. Number 5, houses are taking longer to sell compared to the same week 1 year ago for 51 consecutive weeks. Again, a lagging indicator. As I mentioned, of course, this was the first time that days in the market has grown by less than 10 days, I should say, not 10%, since mid-December 2022. There you go, I just fixed that. The first time that days in the market has grown by less than 10 days since mid-December last year. So what are some potential huge changes ahead, given the fact that average mortgage rates have been at or above 6% all year, I believe going back to September last year. In any case, number 1, average 30-year rates are 1.8 percentage points higher today compared to 1 year ago. This causes an 18% decrease in buyers' purchasing power. Also, we have a lot of challenges that home buyers and, of course, our housing market is facing right now. We have near record low housing affordability, low levels of houses for sale of existing houses, and of course, elevated rates as well. One thing I changed in this summary right here, I've been talking about a potential of a recession, but that's a big question mark because the second quarter of GDP just got released this last week, and they actually had a gain of 2.4% annualized for Q2. That also beat expectations as well of 2%. So in order to be officially into a recession, we need 2 consecutive quarters in which GDP is negative. So of course, we do have a lot of uncertainty though, and of course, time will tell regarding a recession if we're gonna have one or not. Number 2, housing affordability is still a huge hurdle for home buyers, especially compared to the past couple of years. We went from rates at around 3%, and of course, for home prices, much lower back in 2020. So rates have more than doubled, and of course, home sold prices have increased by about 40% from 2020. Rates in general have been on the rise ever since early April. Of course, there's been a lot of volatility, but in general, rates have been on an upward swing since April. And on a national level, home sold prices, the median sold price, according to Redfin, or according to data from Redfin, I should say, is up by about 10% year to date. So we have rising mortgage rates and home prices, which of course makes housing affordability even worse than it already is. And this, of course, in my personal opinion, is not sustainable. We should expect to see home sold prices to decrease very, very soon due to seasonality of our housing market, but also due to this lack of housing affordability. Number 3, early signs of home buying demand have been absolutely all over the place due to the volatility in rates this year. The most recent stats show that applications for home loans actually decreased by 23% year over year, according to the most recent report from the MBA. Also, based on my own analysis of their data, when looking at pre-pandemic levels, we're at the lowest levels of applications for home loans to buy houses going back to February of 2015. In other words, demand is still very, very low. Also, Redfin's most recent data shows that pending home sales, a measure of contracts being signed between buyers and sellers of existing houses, decreased by 15% from a year ago. Also, new listings decreased by 22%. Additionally, the National Association of Realtors just reported a few days ago as well that pending home sales in June fell by 16% from June of 2022 for existing houses. So contracts being signed decreased by 16% this June from last June. This is, of course, much different compared to new home construction because a measure of contracts being signed between builders and home buyers, that is defined as a sale by the U.S. Census Bureau, that actually increased by 24%. So we have existing houses, pending home sales decreasing by about 16%, whereas new home construction, that increased by 24%. Quite the dichotomy we have in our U.S. housing market. And this is, of course, because a lot of people are being able to get a much lower rate than current market rates because builders are offering incentives such as closing cost credits and buy downs on their rates. To give you guys a boots on the ground example regarding this is that my team and I have 3 clients in which they have an offer accepted by a home builder. So we have 3 clients who are buying houses that are under construction. These clients were able to get rates of well below current market rates. One of them has a rate of 5% when current rates right now are around 7%. So it makes sense that people are moving to buy brand new home construction because the prices of these houses can be cheaper than an older house. And on top of that, you may get free appliances, a closing cost credit, and or a great rate compared to current rates today. And speaking of that, if you guys want me to make a separate video regarding that, then please let me know. Please leave me a comment below. Also, number 4, home sellers and buyers have exited the market, leading to a dip of new listings as well as pending home sales, especially compared to the past several years. The lack of new supply of existing houses since last summer has led to inventory remaining at historical low levels, again, down by about 50% from the same time frame of 2019. If homeowners continue to decide that now is not a good time to sell their houses, that of course will limit housing inventory. The direction of our US housing market will likely depend on unemployment, mortgage rates, and inventory levels, in my personal opinion. And number 5, this is actually the most important one. I appreciate you guys for supporting my YouTube channel and of course for watching today's video. Hope you guys have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.